was, I think, one of the last times that her name was in the papers. She walked with Father Robert Reyes, right, during the SONA from Katipunan, from Quezon City Hall up to the Batasan, no? So, so you see her in some of these. You see her very much involved. She served as a consultant on environmental management and urban development to the World Bank, ADB, USAID, UN Habitat, UNDP, and other development partners. She now serves as consultant for the World Bank Institute's Carbon Finance Capacity Building for emerging megacities in the South, the World Bank's credit rating project in the Philippines. She's the project director of the Cities Alliance supported City Development Strategy Project in the Philippines, and this guides cities in the Philippines on the path to sustainable development. I remember a few years back there was a conference here, right, on city sustainable development. She chairs the Clean Air Initiative for Asian Cities Partnership Council. Is a board member of the Environment and Economics Program for Southeast Asia, and is a member of the Advisory Committee of the ADB and the GTZ Assisted City Development Initiatives on Asia. In the Philippines, she chairs the Earth Day Network Philippines, the Earth Council Asia Pacific Philippines, and the Philippine Council for Environmental Protection and Sustainable Development Incorporated. She also serves as the Vice President of the Solid Waste Management Association of the Philippines and the Partnership for Clean Air. A director of the PBE, or Philippine Business for the Environment, member of the Board of Trustees of the Philippine Tropical Forest Conservation Foundation, and the Advisory Board of the World Wildlife Fund Philippines. She has also been designated as a member of the Advisory Committee to the Supreme Court to oversee the implementation of the Supreme Court decision on the cleanup of Manila Bay. She's the program director of the Clean Kalinga program of Gawad Kalinga. For the foundation, she's also a great supporter of the foundation. She always is a member of our screening committee for our Corporate Excellence Award of the American Chamber Foundation. So without much ado, let me present to you Ms. Bebet Gozon. That's how she wants to be called.
Maraming salamat, Chief. Members of AmCham, ladies and gentlemen, mga kaibigan at kasama sa pangangalaga ng kapaligiran, isang maganda at makaligtasang panahon sa ating lahat. Before anything else, I really want to thank AmCham for giving me the opportunity to join you this morning. And I'm here to present to you what are the impacts of climate change. Let me start off by just showing you some of the scenes that I'm sure we are still very familiar with, which happened in Ondoy when we had excessive rain. Oops, sorry. You won't be able to see if I stand here. You can, you're okay. And you know, who would have thought that we would have water so strong that we can actually move vehicles? Some people had to fight for their lives, and we actually lost some lives. And this one, that water could rise as high as 8 meters. This is on Marcos Highway by the Marikina River. So what's unthinkable actually happened. And the other one is the 5-meter high is under the SM Marikina. Exactly what happened, actually mas appropriate that Tony Nagsaga present this is their work. We had excessive rain. So while we normally have 330 millimeters of rain for the month of September, in just one day we had 368 millimeters, and bulk of that falling within 6 hours. So talagang excessively rainfall. Of course, that was aggravated by the fact that the Marikina watershed is deforested. It only has 20% remaining forest cover, and that's why there was nothing there to absorb that water. And of course, you also had a lot of erosion. And that's why even when the rains had stopped, it took a long while for the waters to subside kasi silted all over. No? The fact that our storm drains were also clogged with solid waste, of course, aggravated the situation, plus that the waterways were blocked by settlements. Now, why is this happening? Because it's not that while Ondoy was, of course, excessive, Pepeng came after that has caused this. If we continue doing this, we are actually on the path to ending life on Earth. Diba? Because all of these consequences are going to be compounded, and as mentioned, baka mag-reach pa ng point of no return. And if we do that, unless we really realize that we have to stop and take action now, if we continue to ruin the planet, then we have to stop claiming that we are the superior species. Because we are the only species that's destroying her or his home. And so the only way that we can address that is we have to have a concerted effort of both the government, national and local, the private sector, civil society and communities to manage and adapt to this to this changing and more invasive environment. Because at the end of the day, it really is a shared responsibility. We are in this world all together. This is the only world that can sustain us under the framework of sustainable development, which ensures long-term economic development that does not destroy the environment and actually benefits the people, because that's what sustainable development is. Under that framework, we must do two things. One is to reduce our releases of greenhouse gases, or what is generically called carbon, and at the same time, and this is the more urgent thing for the Philippines, we need to reduce risk. We really have to adapt already, and that has to be done across society. And it's not just those who want to be sexy, we all have to go on a diet, and that's really a low carbon lifestyle. And that is the mitigation part, which while important, is not as important as adaptation, because the Philippines contribute very small in terms of greenhouse gases, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't take action to reduce our greenhouse gases. We have both a moral and an ethical responsibility to do that, because every single ton released affects the whole world and puts the survival of the world at risk. And as I said, mitigation alone is not enough. Impacts of climate change are a reality, and we really need to adjust to that and adapt to it, and I'm very pleased that the next presenter will actually focus on adaptation. We all have to work together to win this war on climate change. Because I think none of us here are looking to a future that will look like this. In fact, I think for those of us who have children, and can I just see a show of hands, who among you have kids? We all work so hard, because I think I think you'll all agree, the dream of every single parent is to give our children a life much better than what you and I had. And we invest so much in education because we're saying this is going to be their foundation for their future. But if you really think hard about it, the best legacy that you and I can give them long after we're gone, and in the normal course of things, you and I will go ahead of our kids, is to make sure that when we're no longer here, we know and we can rest in peace, truly rest in peace, because we know that we did everything we can to ensure that they will continue to have clean air, that they'll continue to have clean water, and that the lands and the seas will remain productive, because these are essential to life itself. That's the best legacy that you and I can give them. We have the opportunity now to avoid the unthinkable and also adapt to the unavoidable. I hope that hearing this, all of us will take action. One of this is the 10 million movement. I also am the chair and president of the Earth Day Network in the Philippines. And we are calling on everyone, as individuals, as communities, as offices, as associations like AmCham. Take a stand. Let's not expect others to do it. Let's also contribute what we can in whatever little way. Sabi nga namin sa Tagalog, ano ang taya mo? What are you committing? It can be as simple as, and I think all of us have cell phones. All of you have cell phones. And when the cell phone is already, you use it during the day, it ends up at the end of the day, it tells you it is low bat, yes. And then what do? You charge it up. It's an intelligent equipment. After you charge it, it tells you what. As long as people don't have anything to feed their kids, you cannot talk to them about protecting the trees. So it really has to be a concerted effort, a multi-pronged, no? That's the experience also of Mayor Hagedorn. He was able to stop deforestation of their watershed. But initially, enforcement. Ipakulong mo, no? Catch them, put them in jail. That really doesn't solve the problem. So it has to be with alternative livelihood. And take note, our concern here is that with many poor people living in the coastal areas who will be displaced, we will have climate change refugees. Where do you think will they go? Most of them probably will end up in the uplands again. We have to prepare for that as well. We also did a simulation for Metro Cebu and Metro Manila. And at 1 meter sea level rise, for example, in Cebu, in Mactan, the water will already be in the runway of Cebu. So impacts on infrastructure are going to be really bad. Most of our major roads are on the coastal highway. And even our ports are going to be inundated. So for the Visayas, for example, only 2 airports will be serviceable. Silay and Santa Barbara, because they are inland. So this is a message for public works and local governments. New plans for infrastructure must be built away from the coast. We should follow what I think, if I'm not mistaken, was that this leak or somebody did, where they did the diversion road was actually done upstream. So there is a good. Hopefully it pushes them to action. But more importantly, it really awakens local constituents and the local governments. Kasi impacts na are going to be different in different parts of the country. And therefore, the adaptation measures will also be different. What's going to be common is the fact that we all need to identify the low-lying areas and get people out of there. And if it's an accident waiting to happen, we should be planning for it already and explaining this to them. And I suppose part of the work that we can do as NGOs is to help the local governments sensitize the communities, because so that they will accept such an action by some of our local governments are already trying to do that now. In addition to, I won't go into that adaptation, we'll cover that. Yes.
Can we stop Henry C. having seats? Kasi you're saying the poor are causing the destruction of the forest, but Henry C. is also destroying the forest. My friend in Tagaytay says that since the SL Development Corporation developed the subdivision there, they are experiencing flooding. So can we stop the rich or the poor?
No, after, yeah. I'm not saying we should only focus on the poor. No? I'm on, hindi ho. Illegal logging, illegal mining, lahat yan, pati mga illegal land developers, may kasalanan din sila. I agree with you. The problem in the way we develop in the country, in the Philippines, has been we don't design with nature, no, with what's already there. And so as much, instead of, trying to design with the trees there, for example, like Huli Desma's house has a tree right smack in the middle. She built around it. May mga ganong people. We normally just think of cutting. Admittedly, well, yan, inalaw na ng gobyerno, I suppose both local and national, without thinking of the likely implications.
The environmental
clearance.
And if you're working with the government, maybe you can talk about it.
Yeah, this has been our advocacy. I'm no longer in government, by the way, klaruhin ko lang. I'm an NGO already. But the Philippine Business for the Environment is an NGO, yes, and we do dialogue with government in terms of trying to influence their decisions. No? And I think the other thing is really local action that has been effective to try to at least not necessarily not stop, but at least redesign some of the development plans that have been put in place. When I was secretary, what trees could actually, we talked to the developer to see how they could redesign the way the townhouses were to be built so they could leave as much of the trees there as possible. And those that could not, let's be realistic, no? Hindi naman pwedeng lahat wala. Those that could be bold,